Hello there, everybody. It is one beautiful, gorgeous morning. Look at that blue sky up there. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's beautiful. Also, I have the sounds of not silence, but the farmland all around me. Next door, the milk house generator's going. To the other side of me, they're doing some mowing down of some hay fields. Yeah, it's a little busy right now. But here we are, looking at Psalm 78 coming up for this Sunday. Psalm 78, it's an interesting one. It's the second longest psalm in the Psalter, 70 plus verses, and it's one that goes over the whole story of the people leaving Egypt under Moses and then wandering through the wilderness to the promised land. It basically recounts what we read in both Exodus and in Numbers. So we have all that going on there, but there's some interesting things happening here. It starts right at the very beginning, before we even get into the psalm itself. In the superscription, it says, a maskil of Asaph. You look at that and you go, yeah, all right, so what? And you move on and you start reading it. But that's what helps us understand what exactly this is. We don't know precisely what maskil in the Hebrew means, but its Hebrew roots show that it's a wisdom type of saying, a teaching, and so that gives us an indication that this is a psalm that was meant to instruct the people, one that you would recite or have read to you so that you would understand what all you went through as God's people way back when. And even in the very first verse, it tells us that. It says, give ear, O my people, to my teaching. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. So, all right, now we know what we got. We got an instructional type of psalm. But also, we know about what time this was written and who it was written to. It says it was a maskil of Asaph. Now, that means very likely he either wrote it or it was given to him as part of his duty to share with the people, because he was put in charge of some of the worship services of the people by King David. Okay, so now we know where we're going. And where are we going today? It's a long psalm. We're not doing the whole thing, but since it's linked up with our bread of life from heaven type of text from the Gospel of John, the verses we have are 22 through 29, and they're beautiful. They're a poetic rendition of what we read in Exodus and what we read in the book of Numbers. Some of the good stuff, talking about the people being hungry and needing the bread, the manna from heaven, bread from heaven, and also they're hungry for more than just bread, so God provides meat in the form of quail, little birds that they get to eat. And it's very cool, and so it's beautiful. You have to read it. Actually it starts with, 23 through 29. And it's important that you realize that's all we're reading in church this Sunday, because we leave out the verses just before and just after, which shows that the Revised Common Lectionary people kind of cherry-picked a little bit here. 23 through 29, it sounds marvelous and wonderful. God is so good to us. He sends to us out of his abundance. He rains down the manna to eat from. It comes out of heaven. It is bread from heaven. He causes the winds to blow, and these quails show up. Yeah, cool. God is great. But if you want to get the true essence of this teaching, you have to look a little bit before and after, because it talks about God not only doing this out of the generosity of his heart, but if you keep complaining that you don't have enough and that God is a no good, you know what, you're going to get it. You are going to get it. It talks about the Lord being full of rage, and the fires kindled against Jacob. His anger mounted against Israel. I don't like that. And at the very end of our reading today, what we're not reading, it says, they ate and they were filled, and he gave them what they craved. Now that is part of our reading, but here's what comes next. But before they had satisfied their craving, while the food was still in their mouths, the anger of God rose against them, and he killed the strongest of them and laid low the flower of Israel. Oh man, what is going on here? God giving them the manna and the quail to eat, and then he zaps them? This is one crazy psalm. The thing is, this is the way the psalm reads the whole way through. It talks about the people constantly grumbling against God. God answers their grumbling by providing for them. And then every now and then he gets a little upset with them and zaps a few of them. That's why it's called a teaching psalm. It's a teaching psalm because when you look at it, you see that God is pictured as someone who will answer our calls for help. Even when those calls turn more to grumbling and complaining against God. But you know, God only goes so far. And there's a limit that he reaches before there's going to be consequences to your lack of faith. You're just trying to get whatever you want and not putting your trust in God to get you there. Whoa, this is one crazy, crazy psalm to read. It's a good one. It's an instructional one. It's one that begs the people, come on, just put your faith and your hope and trust in God. He'll be there to supply your need. He'll be there to rescue you. But don't keep the griping and groaning up. God has limits to his patience too. Okay, that's just one of those things that we read in the Psalms. God's blessings be with you. Hopefully his patience doesn't run out with you or me. I don't think so. What we see in Jesus is one who gives greatly out of God's abundance, God's treasure chest of things, good things for us. And he wants us to just have a little patience with him. Blessings be with you.